In today's development landscape, Docker has become an essential tool for containerizing applications. It allows developers to create, deploy, and run applications in isolated environments, ensuring consistency across different stages of development and deployment. This video will guide you through creating a .NET project in Visual Studio with Docker container support, enabling you to leverage Docker for simplified deployment and scalability. First, you need to download and install Docker Desktop from docker.com/products/Docker Desktop. You can leave all of the default options checked during the installation process. Once it's downloaded, sign in using your Docker Hub account. If you don't have an account, you can sign up at hub.docker.com. Once Docker Desktop is running, right-click on the icon in your system tray and select Switch to Windows Containers. If you get an error saying that you need to enable Windows containers, run the PowerShell script specified in the dialog in a terminal with admin rights and then restart your PC. Make sure to restart Docker Desktop afterward. You also need Visual Studio 2022 Community Edition, which you can get from visualstudio.microsoft.com. Open Visual Studio 2022 and click Create a New Project in the Welcome dialog. In the Create a New Project dialog, search for ASP.NET and select the ASP.NET Core web app with Razor Pages template and then click Next. Name the project ASP.NET Core Docker Demo and select the location where you want to create an application. Then click Next. In the Additional Information dialog, make sure Configure for HTTPS is unchecked and then Enable Container Support box is checked. In the Container OS dropdown, select Windows. Then in the Container Build Type dropdown, select Dockerfile and then click Create. In the Solution Explorer, you should see a Dockerfile. Let's take a look at this in detail. The first stage sets up the base runtime environment your application will run on. The base image is the ASP.NET Core runtime image, ensuring a minimal, efficient runtime environment. Workdir sets the working directory inside the container to the app directory. Expose 8080 informs Docker that the container listens on port 8080 at runtime. The next stage is responsible for restoring dependencies and compiling your application. The build image also uses the ASP.NET Core runtime image. Arg build configuration defines a build time argument to specify the build configuration defaulting to release. Then we have another workdir instruction which sets the working directory to source where your source code will be copied. The copy command copies the project files into the container. Run.NET Restore restores all required NuGet packages. The copy instruction copies the entire source code into the container to the source directory. The workdir instruction navigates into the project's source directory. Run.NET Build builds the project in the specified configuration, outputting compiled artifacts to app/build. The next stage publishes the built application into a folder ready for deployment. From build as publish uses the build image from the previous stage and adds everything needed for publishing. Arg build configuration equals release reuses the configuration argument to ensure consistent build mode. Run.NET Publish publishes the application, which includes precompiled binaries and all necessary runtime files, into the app publish directory. The p:/useAppHost equals false parameter helps reduce the image size by excluding certain host executables on some platforms. Then we have the final stage, which produces the final image that will actually be run. It uses the smaller runtime image and includes only the essential published files. From base as final uses the base image and adds everything needed for application runtime. Workdir ensures the working directory is app. Copy from equals publish copies the publish output from the publish stage into the final image. An entry point specifies the command that runs when the container starts. It launches the ASP.NET Core application using the DLL file that has been compiled and published in previous stages. Now, let's run our application. In the top toolbar, click the Start button. This will open your browser and you should see the welcome page. If you look at Docker Desktop, you'll see the container for car application. This is where you can view the container logs and inspect the container to aid in troubleshooting. With Visual Studio, Docker integration makes it easy to containerize and deploy .NET applications. By following these simple steps, you can create, build, and run a Docker container for your .NET projects, enabling more efficient and consistent development and deployment workflows. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.